Where's the carpets, man?
Oh, sorry.
Howdy, howdy. Welcome to Hang the Critic with Josh Ball. I'm Josh Ball and this is Hang the Critic. Now, some of you may not be aware that in addition to being an amazing film reviewer and analysis that I am, I also in my spare time like to do a bit of script writing. And a few years ago I set myself the task of writing a series of adaptations of classic literature. All my life I've been in love with specifically classic genre literature, due largely to having watched the films The Page Master, Muppet Christmas Carol, and Muppet Treasure Island as a kid. And I succeeded in writing that trilogy to various lengths of success and or otherwise. Recently I returned to them to do updated versions of old poster designs that I did accompanying each script. These are just things that I do for gits and shiggles, really. Now, the first in the trilogy, which I did, was an adaptation of J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan and Wendy. Now, anyone who's known me for any length of time will be able to tell you that I am a huge fan of Peter Pan. My whole life, really. It is one of my favorite books. To be honest, in terms of adaptations to film of it that I'm completely happy with, it's been fairly thin on the ground. I mean, I grew up with the Disney version, of course, as with a lot of people. I grew up thinking that was like the definitive version, like Disney had come up with the idea. But then I read the book and I discovered that it was completely different. I also grew up with the 1991 film Hook, which is still to this day one of my favorite films ever made. I will defend it to within an inch of my life. In many ways, it is the most faithful I've seen in terms of the faithfulness of the characters to how they were depicted in the book. But obviously, for anyone who's seen it, it's designed as a kind of sequel to the book, so it's not a direct adaptation.
Smee, what about Smee? What about Smee? Smee. What about me?
Then there was the version with Jason Isaacs and Jeremy Sumpter, which was more faithful than the Disney version, but also in many ways very disappointing. I also didn't like the focus on the love story aspect. Peter Pan and Wendy isn't really a love story. A lot of people look at it and they see just the basic iconic elements, you know, the boy who never grew up, living on an island, pirates, fairies, etc. It's actually an incredibly in-depth philosophical story, really, and a wonderful analysis of the contrast between adult behavior and child behavior. And it's filled with symbolism and unique insights into behavior, really. Like, in fact, it got a lot of credit, and to this day gets a lot of credit for its insights into child psychology. So I wanted to do a version which was more reflective of those aspects of the story. I'm fairly happy with that adaptation, although I think I might want to revisit it. I know that there are a lot of new adaptations or spins on Peter Pan that are in the works. Like, there's one that focuses on Wendy, and Disney is doing another Disney reboot, but if I'm perfectly honest, I don't really hold out much hope for that. I mean, The Jungle Book was good, Maleficent was okay, I haven't seen Aladdin, but I heard it's alright. The Lion King was just a travesty. That should never have happened. Anyway, that's all I've got for this episode of Hang the Critic. I hope you join us next time. I hope you like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, leave a comment, keep watching movies, and I'll see you when I see you.